Every story leaves something behind. A whisper, a shadow, a question that was never answered. Here, we dig through the forgotten files, the unsolved mysteries, the chilling true crimes, and the horrors people wish had stayed buried. From haunted legends to real-life nightmares, every tale is pulled straight from the horror archives. So turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and step carefully, because once a story enters the horror archives, it never truly leaves. The first story in tonight's lineup is called The Seat That Was Already Taken. It's about a man who goes to an afternoon showing at a near-empty theater and discovers that the empty seat next to him isn't really empty. This one is subtle, but it stays with you. The seat next to mine was folded down when I walked in. That's the thing I keep coming back to. It was a Tuesday matinee, showing of some forgettable drama. I specifically picked a time when the theater would be nearly empty, because I like having a row to myself, and the theater was empty. I counted maybe 6 other people scattered across the whole auditorium. But when I got to row J, seat 14, seat 13 was already down, like someone had just been sitting there and gotten up. I sat down anyway, told myself it was a broken spring. Some of those seats don't fold back properly. The theater was one of those older ones, not a chain. It had red velvet seats that had faded to a kind of dusty pink, and the ceiling had those little fiber optic lights meant to look like stars, but half of them had gone out, so the effect was more like something decaying. The carpet smelled faintly of mildew. About 20 minutes into the film, I noticed something. Seat 13 had folded back up. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it move, but when I glanced over, it was up, the way all the empty seats were. I remember thinking that was odd, because I'd assumed the spring was broken. Then maybe 10 minutes later, I looked again. It was down. I stared at it. I stared at it for a long time. It was just down, like weight was on it. The air next to me felt different. I don't know how else to describe it. You know how you can sense someone standing near you, even with your eyes closed? It was that, but there was no one there, just a folded down seat and a feeling. I moved. I picked up my jacket and my drink and moved 3 seats to the right. I felt ridiculous, but the feeling was strong enough that I didn't care. I settled into my new seat, tried to focus on the movie. About 5 minutes later, the seat directly to my left slowly creaked down. I watched it happen this time. It moved deliberately, not like a spring releasing. It folded down the way it does when a person sits. Slow waited. I left. I didn't run. I just stood up, walked to the aisle and walked out. I didn't look back at the row. At the front, I passed the ticket taker. He was a teenager, bored on his phone. I asked him, kind of half joking, if anyone had ever reported anything weird in Auditorium 4. He looked up at me and said, "Which seat were you in?" I told him row J. He just nodded slowly, like that confirmed something. He said, "Yeah, people don't usually sit in that row." I asked why. He shrugged. "A guy died in there like 8 years ago. Heart attack during a movie. They didn't find him until the credits were over and the lights came up. He was in J13. I stood there for a second. Then I asked him why they didn't rope off the seat or something. He said they did for a while, but the seat kept folding down on its own. Manager got tired of fixing the rope. I drove home with the radio off. I kept thinking about the way that seat next to me had followed me when I moved, like whatever was sitting there didn't want to be alone. That story still gets under my skin. But this next one is different. This one isn't about something you can't see. It's about someone you can. Someone who won't stop looking at you. This story is called The Man Who Watched Me Instead. I noticed him because he was facing the wrong way. Everyone in the theater was looking at the screen. He was looking at me. This was last fall, at a late showing of a horror movie. I'd gone alone because none of my friends wanted to see it. The theater was maybe a third full, mostly couples in small groups. I was in the back row, far right, the way I always sit. I like having the wall next to me. The man was seated about 4 rows ahead, on the aisle. He was older, maybe 50s or 60s, wearing a dark jacket, and he was turned fully around in his seat, facing the back of the theater, facing me. At first, I thought he was looking for someone, like maybe he was saving a seat and watching the entrance. But the previews ended. The movie started, and he didn't turn around. I tried to ignore it. The theater was dark enough that I couldn't see his face clearly, just the outline of his head and shoulders, and the faint reflection of the screen light on what might have been glasses. He wasn't moving. He was perfectly still. After maybe 15 minutes, I pulled out my phone, pretending to check the time, but really I used the dim light to get a better look. He was staring directly at me. No question about it. His head was angled exactly at my position. I shifted one seat to the left, closer to the center of the row. His head tracked with me. It moved just slightly, adjusting. My stomach dropped. I sat there for another few minutes trying to convince myself I was imagining it. Then I tested it. I leaned slowly to the right, back toward my original seat. His head followed. I decided to leave. I stood up and walked to the aisle on the opposite side from him, planning to go out the exit near the front. As I walked down the steps, I glanced at him. His seat was empty. I stopped. I looked around the theater. Every other person in there was watching the movie, faces lit by the screen. He was gone. I hadn't seen him get up. I hadn't heard a seat fold up. He was just gone. I walked quickly up the main aisle toward the lobby. The hallway outside the auditorium was long and empty, lit with that dim corridor lighting. My footsteps echoed on the tile. I pushed through the double doors into the lobby, which was bright and normal. The concession stand girl looked bored. A family was buying popcorn. Everything was fine. I went to the bathroom before leaving. I pushed the door open and walked in. It was a small restroom, just 2 stalls and 2 urinals. One of the stall doors was closed. I could see shoes under the gap. Dark shoes, dark pants. I used the urinal quickly, washed my hands and left. As I was drying my hands on my way out, I heard the stall door unlock behind me. I didn't look back. I walked straight to my car. When I got to the parking lot, I unlocked my car with the remote and the headlights flashed. In that brief flash, I saw a figure standing at the theater's glass front doors, inside the lobby, watching me through the glass. Dark jacket, perfectly still. I got in my car and drove home. I locked every door in my house. Nothing else happened that night. But about a week later, I went back to that theater for a different movie. Different time, different auditorium. And as I was walking to my seat in the dark, already settled in, I noticed something. 4 rows ahead of me, on the aisle, there was a man in a dark jacket. He was already turned around. I left before the previews ended. I haven't been back to that theater. I want you to really think about that one. Imagine sitting alone in a dark theater and realizing the person a few rows ahead of you isn't watching the movie. They're watching you. And now, this last story, this one genuinely disturbed me. It's called The Footage They Showed Before the Film, and it's about someone who sees something on the big screen that was never supposed to be there. The screen was showing my apartment. That's the part I still can't explain to anyone without sounding insane. Let me back up. This was at a small independent theater in my city, one of those single-screen places that shows art films and cult classics. They have a thing where before the feature, they play short films submitted by local filmmakers. Usually it's student work, experimental stuff, nothing memorable. I've been going there for years. This particular night, I was there for a midnight screening. The crowd was small, maybe 12, 15 people. The theater smelled like old wood and popcorn butter. The seats were worn but comfortable, the kind of place that feels like it's been there longer than anything around it. The lights went down. The first short film played. It was black and white, very grainy, no dialogue. It opened on a shot of an apartment building at night. The camera slowly zoomed in on one window on the 3rd floor. I recognized the building. It was mine. I sat up. The camera pushed closer, and I could see into the window. The blinds were partially open, the way I always leave them. Inside, I could see my living room, my couch, my bookshelf, the lamp I leave on when I go out at night. I felt like all the blood in my body went cold at once. The camera cut to an interior shot. Someone was inside my apartment, filming. The camera moved slowly through my hallway, past my bathroom, toward my bedroom. I recognized everything. The crack in the wall by the bathroom door. The pile of shoes I keep meaning to organize. A jacket I'd hung on a doorknob that morning. That morning, the camera entered my bedroom. My bed was unmade. My phone charger was on the nightstand, plugged in, no phone attached, because my phone was in my pocket. In the theater. Right then, the film showed my bedroom closet. The door was open a few inches. The camera approached it slowly, then stopped. There was a cut to black. Then a title card appeared in plain white text. It just said, "I'll wait." The short ended. The next short started playing immediately. Some colorful animation about birds, like nothing had happened. I couldn't breathe. I grabbed my phone and opened my home security app. I have a camera in my living room. The feed loaded, and everything looked normal. Empty apartment, lamp on, no one there. But I noticed something. The closet door in the background, the one visible from the living room camera angle, was open wider than I'd left it. I'm certain of that. I always close it. I got up and left the theater. I went straight to the front counter and asked who submitted the short films for tonight's screening. The guy working the counter, an older man with a beard, looked confused. He said they only had one short film scheduled tonight, and it was the animation about birds. I told him there was a black and white film before it, a film showing the inside of an apartment. He said that wasn't possible. He loaded the projector himself. There was only one file on the drive before the feature. I called the police when I got home. They came and searched my apartment. They found no one. Nothing was missing. Nothing was disturbed, but the closet door was open, wide open, and when the officer checked it, he found something on the shelf above the hanging clothes, a small digital camera. It wasn't mine. The camera had no memory card in it. It had been removed. The police filed a report, but nothing came of it. No prints on the camera, no leads. The theater owner reviewed his projection system and confirmed only the scheduled content was on the drive. He had no explanation. I moved out of that apartment 2 weeks later. I never went back to that theater. But the part that still keeps me up at night is the timing. Whoever filmed that footage did it the same day. The jacket on the doorknob, the unmade bed, the charger with no phone. They were inside my apartment that morning, maybe hours before I left for the screening. They knew what theater I'd be at. They knew what time. And the title card. I'll wait. I keep thinking about my closet door being open when I got home. And I keep thinking about the hours between when I left my apartment that evening and when I got back. Whoever it was had been in there with me, waiting.
And that's where tonight's file closes, but the archives are far from empty. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and join us as we uncover more horrors, mysteries, and true crimes hidden in the horror archives. Until next time, keep the lights low, keep listening, because you never know what story we'll uncover next.